Hi everyone, it is Zoey Kirby here. Time for another zany news report from me. As you all know, I live in Kansas, so I want to try to cover a decent chunk of some Kansas news going on. And today's going to be in Topeka. I have an extensive history. I used to live in Topeka. I went to college at Washburn. Nearly finished with a degree in philosophy and computer information science, one an associate and a bachelor's, respectively. And I think this is interesting for quite a few reasons. Because I think it's very important that infrastructure be maintained, taken care of, and expanded if we want to be able to live in a functioning, prosperous society. And looks like, per KSNT from Matt Self, that article that came out yesterday, that they're going to be removing a Gage Park playground equipment, that the removal of it has begun. So this is a very quick little article, so let's go ahead and read through most of it. Let's go ahead and start here. Follow along with me if you like. Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, and Shawnee County is the county that Topeka is in, for all of you non-yellow brick roaders out there. Has started to remove old pieces of playground equipment from Gage Park this month. Old pieces of playground equipment. So does that mean that they're just going to be removing what counts as old playground equipment? What's new and what's old? Like, is there a cutoff for that? Anyway, so 27 News spoke with Sean Ziers with SCPR, which is this again the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, about work taking place at Gage Park's Playland area this year. He said workers started to take away old playground pieces in preparation for the installment of brand new equipment a few weeks ago. Okay, so this isn't a case of them just removing old playground equipment and not putting anything else in it, because I found this from a Facebook article, and some of the comments were, of course I didn't read the article. They're putting in new playground equipment. So, I mean, that's probably a good thing. I know that when it comes to construction, building things, us Americans are not patient and do not think about these things well enough. I don't think Topeka is any exception to that rule. So this is from this person. We're excited about the overall scope of the project and want to make sure that we do everything right the first time, which is good. Sean Ziers, again with this Saline County Parks and Recreation. I think it'd be interesting to reach out to this fellow and kind of ask a couple of questions. Wow. I feel like it's more than wrong thing. I'm getting distracted here. So let's keep reading. Ziers said the SCPR is currently working to finalize the drainage system at the park, which must be done prior to the installation of the new playground equipment. Okay, so there's other things that they're doing, I guess, with the drainage system. So that probably means like water, sewage for like the bathrooms, things like that. I'm not an expert on this. I don't really know. Prior to the new installation equipment, and so people visiting the park this year may find that some areas are restricted while this work takes place. I wonder if they have a timeline for how long this is going to take for this to be done. I don't know. Okay, that's important to know. Anyway, let's keep going on. Portions of the playground will be closed, but we'll do everything we can to keep the rest open, Ziers said. Shawnee County Commissioners. Okay. And I don't want people to get bogged down in the price here, because I'm not quite 100% sure. Okay, so I was going to talk about it here. Shawnee County Commissioners previously approved the addition of a $1.28 million, quote, adventure trail, end quote, play set to be added to Gage Park in January. Okay, so my guess is that they're going to be doing a lot of different things. I don't know what involves an adventure trail. We might go into those details in a second. But it looks like they have to do preparations for adding in that adventure trail, which means doing work with the drainage systems, which would require that kind of work. So different parts of Gage Park in Topeka are going to be probably sectioned off while they do that work. They also told 27 News it would be removing and replacing much of the playground pieces in Playland this year, along with a major addition to the park. Okay, which one are they removing and why? What are they going to be doing with it? So then the Animal Land area will not be impacted by these changes and will remain open to guests. Okay. So there's going to be a part that's going to be open still. I think I've been on the Animal Land. That's a area. That's a fun little park. I'm kind of interested in the Adventure Trail. Let's see here. This goes all the way back. This is in January here. So it's a new rope and tower playground. This is going to be what they're going to be adding to the Gage Park. Right. To install an adventure trail. Then there's Parking Center Director Tim Laurent said this marks phase 2 of the improvements of Gage Park's Playland. He said the adventure trail will travel the length of Playland. The trail will be accessible to everyone, including a toddler area. Does that mean it's also going to be accessible to disabled children? To children that need extra help? Because I really hope so. Really hope it's accessible for all children, including those with physical disabilities, including those that may have sensory issues, things like that. But I don't know. I think that'd be a thing that I would want to reach out to this person and maybe somebody else to see what they're doing. Oh, hey, look at that. I'm already way ahead of here. Way ahead of the curve here. But Laurent said while some parts of the trail will be accessible to everyone, including a toddler area, the entire adventure trail will not meet ADA accessibility standards. I have a huge issue with that. If it's not meeting ADA accessibility standards, from my understanding, that's going against federal law. Like, it has to meet ADA accessibility standards. Did they have a good reason? Okay, so they're saying they worked for 6 months to find a way, but in the end, it would have cost too much. Okay, so because it quote-unquote costs too much money, they can't abide by ADA standards. I mean, from my understanding of the ADA, if it's not... So, they said it would cost too much, and one thing that I know, just off the top of my head, is if organizations can prove that the accessibility needs are a quote-unquote undue burden, then they don't have to adhere to the ADA. But what about the kids that are like in wheelchairs, or that have muscular dystrophy, or have other mobility issues that want to play in the adventure trail? Why don't they get to play on the adventure trail? Come on. It means so much to these kids to be able to play, and as somebody who has cerebral palsy, it always kind of like hurt a lot when I was a kid, and there were things that I wasn't able to do because it wasn't accessible to me. Like I grew up in braces around my feet, and I had a lot more mobility than other people with cerebral palsy, but it always stunk when I wasn't able to play like the other kids. At one point, I had to be out on the slab for months after a surgery, and that's devastating to kids because they just want to play and to be with their friends. So what if somebody wants to play with their friends on the adventure trail here once it's built, and then they can't play with their friends because it's not accessible to them, but it costs too much? Is there really a price? There's not a price worth paying for children to be able to have a good childhood? I mean, I don't think there's too high of a price. I mean, what else? Like, that breaks my heart. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really want to go over any more of the adventure trail. I want to end this video on the adventure trail is not going to be ADA accessible at all. Which is a damn shame. Because every single child deserves to be able to play with their friends, at the park, with their parents, their guardians, whatever have you. That makes me sad, and shame on the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation for not making that happen because of a too prohibitive price tag, when Topeka has done other incredibly important things like replace the Capitol Dome with copper, even though it's going to look exactly the same as it used to when it rusted over or whenever it oxygenated. Millions of dollars were spent on that. We can't spend a couple more $1 million to make sure it's accessible to children, but they can spend how much on snowplows? Come on. So, uncool. All that being said, I hope all of the different additions to Gage Park go well. Hope you guys enjoy my doggy. That's Samurai. I hope all those additions go well, and I hope that the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation learns that things have to be ADA accessible. They have to be accessible to people with different physicalities. I don't think that's non-negotiable. We don't cost too much. I didn't cost too much. These kids don't, quote, cost too much. Come on, man. Anyway, I hope all of the changes to the park go well. It's nice to know that they'll be replacing it with new playground equipment, and not just leaving it and letting it languish. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And thank you for joining me for my second story of the day. This has been Zoey Kirby, and I will see you guys in the next one.